taken by some people. To me, the deal is, I don't have a problem having the Beaver account, a certain amount of money set aside for the people for unpaid medical expenses. No way, shape, or form should have ever been taken as a salary by anybody, voted in or not. It should never be that way, okay? Because it's a benefit that's provided by the people of the county. And what I mean by taking some money put in there, and there should be a certain amount for your deductible or unpaid medical. It shouldn't be $945 every month and keep running. And at the end of the year, if you haven't used it, that money should come back to the county. Because it's a benefit provided by the people, for you people, for your unpaid medical expenses. Not to take taking a salary, not to roll over into a big account. At the end of the year, let's say you go to the doctor, it costs you $2,000, you take that money out of your Beaver account, and then the balance comes back to the county. Next year, it does the same thing over and over again. That's, to me, is the way that things should be ran, not the way this county's running. Doing some checking, there's only 2 other counties in the whole state that even have an Aviva account. None of them take any of the salary. We're the only one in the whole state that does it. I guess I don't understand where this thing goes. You talk about you got a shortfall. I mean, right there, you cut $500,000 out of your budget in a heartbeat. In a heartbeat. Now, I know some people sitting around here ain't gonna like that. You know, there's, like we said, we got some hard times, we got some hard choices to make. And the 3 up here gotta make them. And so, I really believe, like I said, that's been a thorn in my side. I think the 2 commissioners that were here previous know that, I've been down here a number of times on that. Because most places, when you offer somebody health insurance, not every place, but most of, by 95% of them, if you decline it because your spouse has better insurance, you lose that benefit. You don't have the choice. You just flat lose it. It's not run like this county's run, that's for sure. Anyway, this is, I guess, unprecedented in the whole state, in my book. Anyway, I guess I could probably go on and on, but that's one of some of my main concerns right there. Thank you.
Thank you. What was that called?
What's that there?
What was their, the
That's only health insurance.
what is it called though?
Aviva account?
Beep.
Aviva.
What is the
A-B-I-V-A, I
average
think.
salary for a county employee?
We have to do some research.
That's a good question. We have so many different classifications. Probably
No,
around
just across the board, how many
Across the
employees
board,
we have,
probably
what's the
around
payroll?
60,000 maybe. Yeah, I mean, that's just, yes.
And the average person in Franklin County makes 42 grand a year. So we're paying 50% more as
Well,
a
I mean,
county.
you're just going on my guess.
Well,
we have-
what is it?
Well, we could look at, look it up and actually get that back. Actually, we may even be able to help that one. File and apply by.
I don't know why you're looking at it.
Sure.
How many employees do we have in the county currently?
It's like for this year's budget, there's 208, like full-time equivalent in the current expense budget. 208. That's the county's general operating
Well,
budget.
not counting temporary help we hire at certain times.
That doesn't include public works.
For the Havel Center, we have some auxiliary funds that aren't in that figure.
Yeah, but we still pay taxes for public works. So they should be counted as employees.
There's about 50 public works employees.
So we've got closer to 300 employees than we do 200.
Yes. I think as an average, right? Okay, so we've divided the projected salaries for next year, divided by 208 employees, is 67, or 212, I think it's $7,680.
Salaries and
So-
benefits.
That's just.
That's just
pay.
salary.
That's just salary, that's not benefits. Yeah, and the average person in our county makes 42 grand a year. Maybe we're looking at, we're a little extravagant on our payrolls. I know a lot of you don't wanna hear that, but when the average person in our county makes almost what? 50%, not quite 50% less than the average employee in the county. We need to think about it maybe, where we're going with some of this stuff. It used to be the county paying jobs and city were lower than the county average because you had the benefits of permanent employment and you had the benefits of retirement. And now we've gotten out of whack on where we're at. And the other question I've got is, out of our property taxes, does any of it go to the city for the stuff that's in the city limits, or does it all come to the county?
If I may respond to both those questions, the first part regarding salaries, I think it's a astute observation. I would point out that most of our county employees do require a degree or some level of advanced education beyond high school. We have very few what you consider entry level or minimum wage type positions at the county. And perhaps more importantly is we have recently undertaken a fairly significant salary study that compared compensation amongst Franklin County employees with comparable size and functioning counties in the state of Washington, as well as some comparisons to the local employment market. We found in that study that we typically were actually under the market in most cases, and have made an effort to bring county salaries more consistent with competitive pay scale. We found that we were losing good employees to other counties and to other local governments, as well as the private sector, when they were paying more for those skills that the county needs in order to be able to function. So we're sensitive to what you're saying, and I agree with the sentiment, but it's something that we have taken a pretty careful look at. Remind me the second part of the question.
How much of the property tax
Oh,
is
property.
in the city limits?
Yeah.
Does it ever go to the city? or
No, that stays through the county.
Stays with the county, okay. Well, I understand now you're doing your survey, because we've done it for the board of realtors for 40 years, I've been sitting on that budget committee. It's all thrown out of whack by everything that goes on out there in North Richland, which filters down through us. When you got firemen out there that've been there for 30 years and never fought a fire, and they're making 100 grand a year, it throws the numbers out of whack. And so that should be taken into consideration when you're doing your study. But the other question I've got, we're basically 2.2, 2.3 million short, because we're gonna get roughly 580 or 575 from Benton County from a reimbursement deal, and we're gonna pull $1.7 million from the road department to put in to make up for the lack. Well, next year, we're gonna be 2.3 short again, and we're not gonna have the 580,000 from Benton County. So we're gonna have to pull 2.3 from the road system. Well, just to give you an idea of what's going on out there, I left city limits of Pasco and drove to Edwin Markham, and I passed 150 cars going the other way. And that was just, what, 15 minutes? So what, it's only 14 miles? So we've got a traffic problem out there, and those roads, we keep cutting the road budget and transferring it over. We're gonna come up with a problem, hey, we need 5 million extra just to bring us up, not even current with what we're behind. We need to look at cutting the budget someplace else and start spending some of that money on some of the roads, because pretty soon you're gonna be Clark Road, everything this way is gonna be within the city limits, and we just lost 300 acres to the Port of Pasco, over there just north of the processing deal. So you're looking almost self-landing that way. So we need to really get serious about cutting this budget on something else, because we're gonna keep getting further and further in the hole. Because all your fixed costs are gonna keep going up and up. Just go buy a pickup and they're $10,000 more than they were 2 years ago. So, cause I just.
What's
want
up,
price points
guys?
to tell you exactly what they are in less than 2 years. And when times are tough, you just cut. And people don't like it, but I'm sorry. My wife doesn't like it when I tell her she only gets so many bucks this month. She says, no, I get what I got, but you get less. So you guys need to think about that, because where are we gonna be? We got all us old goats in here that are on the downhill slide, but you got a lot of young people coming up out there that we have to take care of and leave them something instead of a problem where they're holding the bag. We all talk about indebting the United States to where the grandchildren are holding the bag. We're doing the same damn thing in the county. So if we don't start here, maybe on this forced deal with the prosecutor's office, have Jim haul them down to the Oregon line and tell them he doesn't want to see their butts again. Or it'll be worse next time.
How much of 1.7 million you have to shift to pay that lawsuit?
That wouldn't be a lawsuit, if you just contract me with a bus and I'll haul them down there.
Can I speak real quick? We've looked in, you don't pay in retirement on the VIVA, that's turned into those things.
Any further questions, comments for commissioners?
Well, I just want to weigh in a little bit on this, because I've been first time going through a budget, and I really don't want to see property taxes go up anymore, because what we're finding is that the property values out there are going at such an exponential rate that it is overtaking our ability to stay in existence out there in the farm, because of the price of this land being inflated by teachers unions, pension plans, investors that are coming into our area, buying this land for large amounts of money that as a farmer you can't pencil and make it work. And I think that we really need to look at this 1.7 million shift. We can't do it all in 1 year, I know that. But there's a whole budget system in a quandary, but I think that we really need to look at possibly phasing out the road shift in 3 to 4 years, possibly 5 years. We've got to get this money back into the road department, where our roads are failing us out there. This Columbia Basin is a Garden of Eden. It's a production of tax money. And unless you give those farmers those avenues to get their products to market, it's gonna eat itself alive. We have to start looking at letting the road department get our bridges up to date. We've got bridges out there that were constructed, they're wood. I'm driving over and looking down into the water of the canal. They're old, they're wooden, built in the 50s. We've got to start replacing. They're endless out there, and we heard from the road department. We're responsible for those. We can't get any help from the federal government on that. They will not help us. This is on our backs. And if we want the revenue to keep coming in from the county north of us, we better be willing to support their efforts to create it.
Further?
Just doing the math there, Mr. Chairman. Just to put it in perspective, you cut 17 positions, that pays for the road shift.
Well, at this point, we're not able to finalize this public hearing today. We'll just recess this hearing until next week, where we can come up with a signature page. We will move forward with proposing to include the road shift at the current level.
refugees and state law. And I don't know, county commissioners have the immediate control to be able to do that, so it's important the legislature makes them decisions in the upcoming session going forward.
Okay, at this point, we are recessed on the public hearing until, what is it, the 10th, is it?
Yes.
We'll carry on any time to the end of public comment, open comment. None, that's your Commissioner.
One item this morning, Mr. Chairman, fund expenditures. Move for approval of fund expenditures in a total amount of $325,303.04. Note that this has been reviewed and signed by the county administrator and 2 representatives of the county auditor's office.
I second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Recess, one and final.
That's the only one.
All right, move on to consent agenda. We have one. Consent agenda today.
Move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Consent agenda.
No discussion.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
That takes us to Keith.
Yes, we received a letter from the State Department of, or the State Refugee Coordinator, Sarah Peterson, related to the Trump administration Executive Order 13888 regarding refugee settlement in the Tri-Cities area. Historically, they have not required local consent in order to perform the requirements of this program. This executive order added that both states and each local government that could potentially be impacted by additional refugees consent to doing that. So they're asking for Franklin County to provide our consent. In doing some research regarding this and asking the prosecuting attorney's office to review it, they've indicated that it's legal and within our authority to sign the consent. I would note, as was noted in the letter to us, that Governor Inslee has already signed this on behalf of the state of Washington. A number of other states have approved this, and as well as a number of local governments. Here locally, Benton County is considering it, but they have not yet taken a state position. My understanding is that they're likely to approve it, but it's probably premature to project what they're going to do.
Next week is on our late discussion yesterday.
I do understand that Grant County has already approved it. The city of the city of Pasco has approved it. Other cities in the Tri-Cities area are considering it. I spoke to the executive director of World Relief over in Kennewick, who facilitates this program locally, to get a little more information.
How you doing?
This is a program, in essence, that's been going on for some time. These
Still
are
going?
people that have been vetted and are legally here by authority of the U.S. government. They're not illegal aliens that come into the country.
I don't know how much you guys can actually hear.
Legitimate, they have legitimate refugee status under the federal guidelines and rules. The purpose of this is so that these local charities, the Catholic charities, Lutheran charities, Jewish charities, there's a number of primarily religious groups, as well as World Relief, which is not necessarily a religious organization, but they all apply for grants under this program to help provide housing assistance for those refugees coming into the United States. The local director indicated to me that they're expecting maybe up to 18 people in 2020 in the city of Pasco. They primarily within the city. Most of the refugees that come into the Tri-Cities area, they find housing for them in Kennewick. They do work with the other local governments as well. They're not coming into government housing. He said literally all of them come into homes of family members that are already living here that have space for them, and they coordinate with them to provide that housing. So the request is that Franklin County, through its Board of Commissioners, approve the local consent of the program so that these local charities can then apply for funding through the federal grant program that the state coordinates. The letter that was presented to you perhaps should be, rather than say just the chairman's authority, it probably should state the consent or the consensus of the entire board. But wanted to present that back to you after having the legal research done on it and making sure that we had some facts about what's being asked of us before we sign that letter. I would note that there is a meeting at the City Hall on Monday the 9th, that's next Monday, where Sarah Peterson from the state of Washington, as well as, I think his name is Ken Primus from World Relief, who's the local Kennewick executive director, are going to be making a presentation about this program and its impacts on local communities and kind of what's being requested. And I plan on attending that meeting on the county's behalf.
So what is the impact to our county?
In terms of county budget, there's none. We're not setting aside additional funds or anything like that as a result of this. There's not a program of local concern. This is all through federal and state funding that the program operates. The Trump administration, I think there's probably a fair amount of thought put into the broader implications of immigration and granting refugee status at the federal level, and that was the purpose that the administration wanted local governments to consent. I think in some parts of the country, I'm not aware that it's been a unique problem here in the Tri-Cities, but there's probably some places around the country where it has been a burden on local resources, and there were mayors or city council members or county commissioners perhaps stating to the federal government that they were at risk of having to provide additional services. I don't foresee, for the small number of people that would be coming into Franklin County, that would be a material issue for us. But the principle of the matter certainly is something that commissioners want to pay attention to.
Well, this is the first time that we've had the opportunity to weigh in, correct?
Yes,
The Trump
yeah.
administration is allowing the local governments to weigh in on it.
Correct.
Because there are local governments, and I noticed that when you started, that you said Inslee has already granted this for the state of Washington. Has anything Inslee done? Do we want to side with him on anything that he's done?
That's a political question.
And this liberal legislature we got over there, that passed all the in the middle of the night. I mean, honestly, as much as I'm for this, we just went through our budget. And you can't say that it's not gonna be a burden on us, because if there is any need, we have the services available for these people. And so it's gonna create, and it's only 18 now. But how many could it be in the future? We don't know. We're committing ourselves to a program, honestly, that we can't afford. I'm looking at our budget right now. This is not gonna be easy, because I can't foresee voting for a shift of 1.7 away from our roads. I can't vote for a tax increase on my neighbors out there that I know how much of a burden it is on them for their valuations and the tax rates that are going up, and I realize how hard it is to make go of it out there in farmland. So I, for one, I'm a little bit happy that the Trump administration has finally given us a choice. And I think we really need to weigh, and I think there's enough communities that church groups and people that are working with these refugees to help them, where this shouldn't be a government issue, so it should be.
And I hear your concerns. By providing local government consent, I think you're allowing these local charitable organizations to then apply for the grants.
which is tax money. Let's face facts. Grant money, it's all tax dollars. One way or another, the government doesn't create the revenue, it takes the revenue and redistributes it. So grant money, whatever you wanna call it, it's tax money. Just on a broader scale.
I don't disagree.
Okay.
So Keith, what risk or consequence do you see to the county? I mean, these are people who have been vetted, who are legally here in the country, they have formal refugee status from the government. It seems to me there's nothing that prevents or precludes them from simply moving here on their own if they choose. The distinction is that these are people that the federal government is funding the relocation of. I presume they're going to fund the relocation for these people, whether it's here or somewhere else.
That's a fair statement in that if the local government does not consent, I'm not sure that that precludes them from placing them here anyway. But having said that, there are requirements of these individuals that they become employed, they stay employed, and they stay accountable to their requirements of the refugee status. I don't pretend to know what all of those details are, but they are more regulated perhaps than somebody who's here completely unaccountable.
Sure. Well, at the risk of sounding like I'm stereotyping, I'm not. I don't know who these refugees are or where they're from or what their skill set is. They could be nuclear physicists that we need out in Energy Northwest, or they could be farm workers that we need in Franklin County. Either way, I think there's potential for them to have value-added skills. I don't see a direct cost to Franklin County, frankly. Not of consequence when we're talking 18 people. Do we have any sense of whether or not there are constraints if we consent now, or we at risk of having 1,000 next year?
No, I don't believe that's the case, that we would see a sudden increase, or I think it would be a gradual increase at best. I think you said they've averaged 13, 15 over the last few years, they could be as many as 18 next year.
If we were to grant consent this year, do we have the opportunity to withdraw that consent in the future?
Certainly.
So it seems to me the risk for a small number of 15 to 20, if it becomes problematic, we simply withdraw our consent.
I think it'd be prudent to have, you said you're gonna attend that meeting.
Yes.
Need to sign it.
Time is only of the essence in the sense that they would like the response back by the 20th.
20th,
When I first presented that, I wasn't aware that they were gonna have this get-together meeting next week, but.
Why don't we pull this together next week when you come back to that meeting and see if there's anything that concerns you,
Certainly address those questions.
please. Thank you. That work with you, Keith?
Certainly, thank you. That's all I have
All right.
for this morning.
We're at the point, the second public comment of the agenda.
I wasn't originally going to say anything, but after listening to this discussion, I do feel the need to point out as a person of faith, my faith as a Christian man teaches me that I am supposed to show compassion and decency to those who are most in need. I don't get a choice in the matter, that's just what my faith teaches me. And we are in December, which is one of the holiest months of the year the month that Christ was said to be born. And so I understand completely where Commissioner Didier is coming from, the concerns about our county, but at the same time, I would strongly encourage our commissioners, many of whom I know to be very strong faith-based people, to consider this issue from a perspective of faith. Whether we agree with the governments these people are coming from, they're desperate, they're alone in the world, they need someone to show them some level of compassion, and we have the ability to do that. And so while I respect your concerns, all I ask of you going forward, especially after you go through the meeting next week, is that you remember the faith that you hold so strongly that you talk about, and just remember that these are very vulnerable people that are desperately in need of some compassion, and we have so much to give. and to be
We
thankful
do
for.
as individuals, and we should, but not as a government.
But that's how our system has been set up right now. You have the ability to show that compassion for all of us.
I will give, believe you me.
Yes, sir.
I have just the opposite opinion of that. You know, it's like the groups that bring them in, it's like bringing 24 dogs into the city, and you're only gonna support them for a month. Well, then what happens? Who's gonna support them? I mean, these groups don't support them forever. You know, they're on their own after a certain time. You know, I just heard a number, there's 22 illegal aliens in this country. I'm wondering, they can't work legally, so who's supporting them? They've gotta have housing, food, education. You know, here, all it takes is to get a driver's license and then you can vote. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, we'll never be able to regulate our schools because, heck, they're gonna vote for more schools, so we're gonna be on the hook for that. So, I wanted to make that comment.
Comments?
I know this is rather unusual for the clerk. And I'm an emotional person, so please disregard that. I encourage each of you, especially the commissioners, to attend that meeting, because I too had the same feelings that you had, Mark, because of media and how things work. And I went to a meeting and my life was changed. It is way different than any of the organizations that you ever think is there. So I please encourage you to go to that meeting and not be ill-representative or have preconceived ideas of what you think this group and organization is, and get knowledge before you sign that. And I agree with Commissioner Cope to hold off until you do hear that, so that you have a good understanding of what you are signing.
Further, gentlemen? Seeing none, we are adjourned until next Tuesday. Thank you all.
And that's the end. What are you doing this morning?
Oh, yeah. I think she was on the initial.
Oh, she'll be back Thursday, but
Yeah.
the commander forwarded it to me.
Yeah.
I pulled it out of the file you get from her.
I just want to make sure that they don't have any other from their office as well.
Oh, yeah.
That needs to come out.
Okay, I just want to make sure.
See you later.
That was fun. Well. Nice toasty 33 degrees outside. Oh man. Historical Franklin County. Last good police that this county ever seen. Hate to have to live in those days again. But how amazing and simple life was. There's the highway right there. Over here is Pasco. Over there is Pasco and then Kennewick. Franklin County. Oh look, a go fuck yourself car. Afternoon.
How are you?
Doing all right. Well, that's it, guys. See you later. Remember, happy Fuck the Cops Day, and always redress your government. You guys are gonna keep going? I just don't know how to turn this thing off. Pasco, Ringgold, Elthopia, Page, Snake River, and Mesa, and I think there's one more. Connell. Oh, and Colotus. Ooh.